Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lainey, and today we're actually going to talk about something really serious. We're not going to do blogging or anything like that. We're actually going to talk about rehoming. And many of you guys probably heard a lot about rehoming with the Maya Stauffer and the whole Stauffer family incident. Just so you know, this video is not to bash them or anyone view this video. I hope you guys don't bash their family or anything like that. It's purely my view on it as an adoptee and also someone with a brother with special needs. So I really hope to just educate people so that rehoming and traumatizing of children doesn't happen in the future. Key. Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed my video. I'm really going to be talking about two things today. One, being rehomed as an adoptee and the trauma they face. And two, living with someone with special needs. Alright, so first I'm going to tell you a little bit about rehoming and my opinion about it and my experience with it. Alright, so rehoming, for those of you guys don't know much about it, it's essentially after you adopt a child, you find out that you're not a good fit with them and they're not a good fit with you. You pretty much send them back into the foster system or back to the orphanage or wherever. So essentially you're giving the child back. Here's my opinion about it. Alright, so I understand as an adoptee myself and been in different foster homes that you don't always match with your foster parents, and that's just a thing, you know? But here's the thing, and I think that rehoming it is reasonable and acceptable for the first few months. I want to say up to a month or a year. And you know, that's an adequate amount of time for a family to decide that if the child fit in with their family or not. And adopting a child is a huge deal and they don't tell you. And when you adopt a child, they don't give you a manual that said your child will have XYZ, and they won't give you a manual to help you with XYZ problems. So totally acceptable and understandable to rehome a child after, you know, a short period of adoption or fostering. However, I do not think is reasonable for someone to rehome a child after 2, 3, 4, 5 years of being adopted, because as a child, especially a very, very young child, they attach to their caretaker almost immediately. That's just the thing. So for a child who's already known that they were abandoned by their birth parents once already, for whatever reason, it's really traumatic for them to be re-abandoned by another set of parents. To me personally, I was of course living with a foster family for the first 7 years of my life, and I always knew that I was adopted into their family. They told me at a very, very young age. But something that I never grasped was, why did my parents left me, you know? And later I found out about the one-child policy, and it makes sense, and I got it, you know. I wasn't mad at my birth parents or anything like that. I understand why they made the decision that they did. However, when you're with a foster family or birth parents for a very long period of time and they just suddenly, you know, rehome you, it's a whole new set of trauma, because these people had experience, memories, and they built like a whole life with you. And when you're a child, you know, you only been alive for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. That's all you got. Those memories are all you got. And when they leave you, that's it, you know, like all that memory is gone. Like you got no one to share it with. So it's really traumatizing, because you think to yourself, like, am I good enough? Like, do people like me? Do they just, like, what happened? Like, where did I went wrong? Why am I abandoned twice or 3 times or whatever it may be? So when people adopt children, it's such a great thing to do. It really is. I cannot tell you how great my life is now that I'm with my adopted family. They're great to me, and I hope I'm great to them. So anyways, it's really, really important that when someone decides to adopt a child, they have to be sure that they want to do this, because if they ever cross their mind that they're going to give the child back, don't do it. Just don't do it, because you're really, really going to hurt their lives, and they already have a really tough life. Okay, so on to the second topic. autism. So this topic actually really bothers me about what happened with the Stoffers. I'm not gonna shame on them. I don't know their histories or their what happened in their family, but I do want to say what I know about my brother and what my family experienced. So of course my brother Max was diagnosed with autism at a very young age, and we always knew that he had autism. And of course when my parents find out, they were of course shocked and devastated that he's never gonna have a regular life as the rest of us, and understandably so. So, when parents have kids, they don't know if they're gonna have a special needs child or a child who's normal or whatever it is. You just don't know. But you take the gamble, you have your kids, and then you keep your kids, unless you are really not able to do so. So the thing that really bothers me the most about this topic is that families who say that they're willing to adopt a child with special need and they have educated themselves on it, and they say they're comfortable with adopting a child with special need, and they welcome a special needs child into their home, and they don't try their best. That's what bothers me, because for most parents, they don't get to choose if their son or daughter have special needs. It just came with it, draw of the luck or whatever it is. The fact that you can choose to adopt a child with or without special needs, I mean, that's so great. That's like one of the great thing about adoption, I guess. But what I did admire that Maya and her husband did is that they really did educate themselves on different type of disabilities and how to deal with them. I really admire that, and I believe that every parent should do that before they adopt a child, even a child without special needs, because they also have all type of problem like reactive attachment disorder and all that. So really educate yourself before adopting, and that's something I am so proud that they did as a family. However, a child with special need is very hard, especially for the parents and even the siblings, but it's very worth it at the end. I wouldn't say that I would be the same person I am today. Without my brother, I would definitely be a way more impatient person than I am. But some of you guys probably knew what happened to my family in 2012. And I'm not going to say anything about it on YouTube, but just know that, something traumatic happened to my family in 2012. And my brother was not reacting well to it, because one of the things that a lot of you guys know in the autism community is that autistic kids do not react well with change. So we actually moved, and he was not adapting to change like most of us normal kids can. So he really had a hard time with that, and there was a lot of tantrums and screaming and yelling, a lot of you guys know, people with autistic children or siblings. It was some very not great years, end up with a lot of us crying or screaming and running out the door. And one thing that I am so proud of my mother and so many other mothers and fathers and siblings out there is that they never give up on that child. I can't even imagine if my mom gave up my brother. It's just never been a thing, never even crossed any of our minds. It's always been, how can we make him better? How can we help him better so he could, cope with his anger, anxiety. So that was one of the things that we had to do. We need to change ourselves for that child. So all my siblings and I want to say that we're a lot better people because we had a sibling with special needs. And same thing with my mother, she will probably tell you. So that was really frustrating, the fact that their families spend a few months, or actually they spend a year or two with the child, give him the therapy that he needed, and say, hey, we don't have the resources to take care of this child, we have to give him up. you know, my parents weren't rocket scientists. They weren't like Mother Teresa. But my mom was really, really great with my brother Max. You know, she's not a doctor by any means, but she persists and she always tried to help him to be the best version of himself, and I really admire that. And I know they did try, but autism doesn't get better. That's the thing about disability. Like, it doesn't get better with months or even a year. It takes, you know, maybe even decades for them to even improve. So the fact that their family gave up an autistic child who's already so confused about the world and what's going around with them. He's probably still coping with the changes, you know, transitioning from orphanage to America, that he couldn't really grasp what's going on. And clearly, the child didn't want to be abandoned again, you know? He couldn't even verbally tell other people what he wanted. So it was actually really, really sad for me to watch because I can never imagine if something happened to my brother Max. So for those of you out there, I really hope that you guys learned something about, you know, rehoming and autism and why I am very not okay with what happened. However, please, please, please do be mindful of their family. They're probably handling a lot of backlash right now, and let's just not do that ourselves. So again, if you're gonna adopt a child, great, awesome. You're gonna provide this child with amazing life. However, just please educate yourselves, and everything will hopefully continue to be this awesome and glorious thing that they always say adoption would be. So that brings me to the end of the video. If you have any questions about adoptions, rehoming, or about autism, feel free to contact me or comment below. All right, so feel free to like and subscribe. Anyways, see you guys next week.